Extract from Pig's Feet by Tadej Golob, translated by David Limon. Jani is a struggling writer and comic book artist living hand-to-mouth with his wife and young son Simon. He's just received a mysterious call from a publisher interested in his work. I knocked, but there was no answer. I waited a moment, then tried again, but nothing. So I went in, as his name was written on the door. There was no one there, but it was obviously the secretary's office, and she had gone somewhere, I don't know where. In the next room, the boss's, there seemed to be someone in there, so I knocked. Yes? And then some mumbling and, come in. I opened the door, and there was a guy sitting there, underlining something on paper, which he was holding in place with his other elbow while the hand held a banana. Hello, I said, and that I was Jani Biuk. Ah, so you're the one. He stripped the banana to get to its beginning, or rather end, as a banana grows from the bit we hold in our hand from the stalk or whatever it is when we peel it. Like a monkey, Simon would say, if he wanted his banana peeling so that the peel was still partly in place, so that he could eat it like the monkey he had seen in some cartoon. If he was in a bad mood, he first asked for it to be peeled completely, then he would whine about, like a monkey, I want it like a monkey. Once, when he did this, I stuck the banana back in its skin and sewed it in place with a needle and thread. He looked, stopped crying out of sheer surprise, and then, holes, I didn't want holes. That was what he was like on a bad day, or more accurately, a bad moment, because he could change in a flash. But if he had got out of bed on the wrong side, then that didn't matter, because you could count on something like that at some point during the day. If he was tired, and so on. That was what I was thinking when this guy was stuffing himself with the banana, which wasn't a good thing to be doing because it was confusing, but I couldn't help it. So, you're the one, he said, stuffing the rest of the banana in his mouth. And, excuse me. He swallowed it and wiped his hands on a paper towel. Sit down now. Can I offer you anything? I said, no thanks. But he got up anyway and yelled through the door, Maida! So that the secretary appeared from somewhere and stood there looking awkward as if I'd sneaked in between her legs. It was probably her who'd called me the day before when it said unknown number, and I thought, what shall I do? Shall I answer or play dumb? Because unknown numbers are never good news. People don't usually call to give you something. But then curiosity got the better of me and I answered anyway.
Hello, Mr. Jani Biuk?
Yeah, I said, and wondered what the fuck this would be, and that I probably shouldn't have answered. And if they give your name and surname, it's usually a bad sign. It's usually the police or someone you haven't paid, the nursery school or library or some such. But they don't use Mr., so perhaps there was nothing wrong. She could have been his mother, this secretary. I mean, the director, and she'd been there since socialist days for sure. In these modern times, most of them would have tried to get rid of her or move her into some department where even the devil himself wouldn't notice, into some cellar to rearrange the shelves, move folders around.
Coffee?
Once, in secondary school, a schoolmate and I had been on work practice at the municipal offices, and they stuck us in the cellar where the archives were. There was this guy who worked there who we thought must be related to Hitler. He had the same black hair, same moustache, narrow type, and his face was white as chalk. He was also the right sort of age to be him, or perhaps his older brother, and he moved around like a ghost. He suddenly appeared behind you, indicating with his finger what you should do. That folder there, take it out to the rubbish or somewhere. Even if he did say anything, he was impossible to understand. If he was still alive, he'd be 100, but he's not, for sure.
Would you like coffee?
I waited for them to finish. The one with the banana wasn't showing any signs of concern. He wasn't bothered that he was being looked after by some old dear and not a young one in a miniskirt. Jackets and cloud of perfume and a Brazilian wax and 5 foreign languages, so that everyone asked themselves, is he shagging her? Because it's cooler and funkier to have a secretary from the old days, from communism, who has a Karl Marx book. In that case, it doesn't matter. I mean, what do you care what your aunt's pussy hair's like? Of course, it was quite possible that he didn't think like that he saw her as a secretary who shuffled paperwork, answered the phone, made coffee and so on, and that I was nervous, and so my thoughts were running away with me. Coffee, he said again, and I thought it was odd he was repeating himself, and then I got it. Ah, sorry, didn't know you meant me. Who then? Well, yeah, then I will. Yeah, black, if possible. Black, water for me, Maida. Maida said, of course, and vanished. So, it's you, he said, and I was unclear what I was. Maida had only asked for me to call back, and that it was about some work, that she didn't know much more than that, and I had said that I could. The author of Superfucker. And then it was clear who I was. In my time, I had done an assortment of things, including illustrations for children's books, and I thought it would be something like that, not a comic strip. If they call you from a serious publisher, that's what you expect. I had drawn Superfucker 3 years and 3 months ago. I know that because then Simon was born and I didn't draw any more comic strips. And even this one I thought only my friends knew about. No one else. I think they only printed 100 copies, plus 20, let's say, however many it takes for the machine to stop. I said I was the one, and that I was amazed because, well, I was. I was in the comic shop the other day, having a look around, and I came across it, he said. Almost died laughing. Once more. And I smiled too. Although Superfucker wasn't supposed to be funny. I wanted people to be disgusted, offended, but these days that's kind of hard to achieve. Communist Maida brought coffee, black, sweet, and I don't like sugar in coffee. It's better than white coffee, which makes me sick. Sugar destroys the taste of coffee, makes it watery. I don't know why people drink it like that. But at least it gives you something to do with your hands, and I gratefully picked up the sweetened cup and waited for him to tell me what he wanted. Is the coffee all right? Yeah, great, I said, and was angry with myself immediately, because why did I have to say great? Yes would have been quite enough, but that's how it is when you behave as if you're not used to something. You come out with things just like that. And then he began talking, and I tried to follow him. But you're screwed if you're thinking about bananas and pussies and this and that, coffee and sugar. But anyway, something about their publishing house setting up some kind of subsidiary or something like that, because they wanted to publish different things to what they were doing now. And I said, because he'd stopped again. I used to play punk, he began, and asked if I'd ever listened. To you? Not to me, to punk. I said that I had, although I'd been a bit late for that. I'd been born after, in the period of Mica and Motorhead, as far as rock goes, and before that, Boney M. But then, when I was still little and they came out with Night Flight to Venus, if I think about it, punk was still around then, but I was still a brat, so I preferred Brown Girl in the Ring, and by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and such like. But I said, yeah. Bunklety and the Dead Kennedys, because these were the only names I knew. He said a bit more about punk and such things and about his job while I drank the coffee and watched it disappear and wondered, then what? And at the same time tried to pay attention. Anyway, I've been here quite some time actually, and I'm a bit tired of being respectable, if I can put it like that. And that this alternative publisher, his idea would deal with the production of odds and sods. Also comic strips, including filthy ones. Those little provocative diversions that the Times now called for. Something like that. And there I was, out of coffee. I only had the glass of water left. But the problem was that coffee you can take in small sips. You put your lips on the rim of the cup and sip. But water, you can't drink like that. Because coffee is in any case thicker and it clings to your teeth. Of course, you can take sips of water, but it still goes quickly. 1, 2, 3, and there it goes. And I'd like a comic strip, something like Super Fucker. A book, a comic strip, some bloke with a guitar, a gig. And as a supplement to some newspaper or so on. And if anything comes of it, fine. If not, then hey, okay. A short pause. And the water is also gone. What did he want? A comic strip? He opened the drawer and pulled out a picture book and turned it towards me, and I saw it was that Slovene classic, Martin Capan. Then he was silent, and I was silent because I thought he'd continue, but he didn't, and I had to say, sorry, I'm not clear. I was thinking you could illustrate Martin Capan. I don't follow, I said. What am I supposed... I mean, how can I illustrate it when it is already illustrated? Take a look at it, read it, and illustrate it how you think it should be done. In colour. I took the book, flipped through it, and there's Capan lifting his horse out of a ditch, and another of him arriving in Vienna, which is empty and flat flags everywhere, and then breaking weapons, some lances and swords, and then cutting down a tree, and some brought the Empress, if I'm not mistaken, holding her hand. I knew that anyway. Everyone knows that. There's no need to use the same themes, although it might be good because they're established, well-known, or perhaps not. Imagine that instead of Capan there is, I don't know, one of your heroes who does things his own way. But I don't want to suggest anything, it's up to you. I said, although I didn't know what I would draw. I mean, it was clear to me that my superhero would, what he'd do in my book. But I still didn't know if that's what he meant, what he had in mind. My super fucker would lift the mare from the ditch, but not with his hands, if you get my drift. And I didn't really know who would publish that, because I had done super fucker as a joke, for friends. But, I said, but when I'd said it didn't, but when I'd said it, I didn't know how to continue, and I stopped so that he would continue. But he didn't, and so I had to. But how hardcore would it be? I don't know. He doesn't know. Shall I do it like I did it in the comic strip? Fuck me, I was embarrassed to say super fucker. And I was the one who wrote it. As far as I remember, I mean like that. If you have to hold yourself back, you mean? Yeah, I said. I mean, who is this for? No, you don't have to, if you think that is the right thing to do. I thought a bit about what he'd said, because I still wasn't sure what he wanted. I don't know. You're the commissioner, I said. I don't know either. We'll see. It depends on you and them out there. And he pointed out the window. I followed the line of his finger, and it wasn't particularly clear to me. There was no one special in sight, a street like any other, with a newspaper kiosk in front of which two guys were standing waiting for, I don't know, cigarettes or the newspaper. Let's say you show Capan having intercourse with, let's say, the Empress or someone like that, and he emphasised intercourse so that it was clear that he was joking. And we put that in the bookshops. What do you think will happen? I don't know, I said. Levsticks, Slovenias, Martin Capan, who is, for instance, screwing, and he emphasised the verb. Let's say a princess, or, God forbid, Her Highness the Empress herself. I shrugged. I don't know. See? Neither do I. Yeah. Then we fell silent for a fraction of a second. But that's not your problem. I'm the lightning conductor. If anyone, I'm the one who'll pay the price. What can happen to you? Have you been working a lot recently? Not really, I said. I've got a kid and so on. It was clear that the bastard knew I'd had nothing.